I lost everything on a Tuesday. By Friday, I learned the woman I loved had already replaced me. I used to believe disasters announced themselves with sirens and smoke. Mine arrived quietly, in a beige office with a man sliding a single envelope across a polished desk. Inside was the end of my career, the end of my savings, and the beginning of a version of myself I did not yet recognize. My name is David Jones. For 12 years I worked as a financial analyst at a mid-sized investment firm in Chicago. I was not wealthy, but I was stable. I paid my bills on time. I took pride in being dependable, and I was in love with a woman named Claire Donovan, a graduate student in art history with a laugh that could soften any bad day. We met in a coffee shop on a winter evening when my laptop died and I borrowed her charger. We talked for 3 hours. 2 years later, we shared a one-bedroom apartment, a joint checking account, and plans that sounded like a future. Then I made the worst decision of my life. At work, a senior partner named Victor took an interest in me. He said I had talent, that I was wasting my potential on routine analysis. He spoke in low tones about a side fund he was managing, off the books, experimental, high yield. He told me everyone important did it. He told me this was how real money was made. I hesitated. For weeks, then Claire mentioned student loans, and how tired she was of working 2 jobs. And how it would be nice, just once, not to worry about money. I wanted to be the man who fixed that, so I said yes. At first, it worked. The returns were extraordinary. Numbers I had never seen before appeared in accounts with my name on them. Victor congratulated me. I felt chosen. Then one morning, compliance officers walked into my office. The fund was fraudulent. Not illegal in a technical sense, criminal in every meaningful one. The returns were fabricated. New investors were paying old ones. A classic scheme, hidden behind complex instruments. Victor vanished. The firm needed someone to blame. That someone was me. They terminated me immediately. Froze my accounts. Flagged my professional license. By the time I got home that night, every dollar I had saved was locked behind legal review. Claire sat on the couch, knees pulled to her chest, while I explained what had happened. She did not yell. She did not cry, she just said, "So what do we do now?" I told her we would be fine. That I would find another job. That this would pass. I believed it. The weeks that followed were a slow humiliation. No firm would touch me with an investigation pending. Recruiters stopped returning my calls. Our joint account ran dry. I sold my watch. Then my car. Then furniture. Claire took extra shifts at the gallery. She grew distant. Not cruel, just absent. At night, she lay beside me scrolling on her phone, her body turned slightly away. I told myself it was stress. One evening, as I was cooking pasta with the last of our groceries, she said she was meeting a friend for drinks. She left wearing a dress she had not worn in months. She came home after midnight. I smelled cologne. When I asked her about it, she said the bar was crowded. I wanted to believe her. 2 weeks later, I received a letter from the district attorney's office. They were considering charges. That night, Claire told me she needed space. She moved out the next morning. We said we would take a break. She promised it was not permanent. 3 days later, I saw her in a restaurant across the street from the courthouse. She was sitting with a man in an expensive suit, his hand resting casually on her wrist. She was laughing the way she used to laugh with me. I recognized him. His name was Michael Reed. He was one of Victor's former associates. A private equity manager who had invested heavily in the same side fund. The realization hit me with physical force. She had not met him by chance. I confronted her that night. She did not deny it. She said she was lonely. She said she was scared. She said Michael made her feel safe. I asked how long. She said, "Since before you lost your job." That sentence broke something in me that never fully healed. She had known the money was disappearing before I did. She had started preparing her exit, but the worst was still ahead. 2 months later, my lawyer called. The prosecution had new evidence, documents bearing my signature authorized transfers I did not remember making. Transfers that sent money from the fraudulent fund into a shell company. That shell company belonged to Michael Reed. Someone had used my credentials. I was being positioned as the fall guy. In desperation, I accessed my old backups, digging through years of emails and logs. At 3 in the morning, in a half-lit apartment with no furniture left, I found it, an email from my account, sent at 2:14 a.m. on a night I had been asleep next to Claire, authorizing a transfer, the IP address traced to our apartment. Only one other person had access to my laptop, Claire. The shocking truth settled in slowly, like a poison spreading through my bloodstream. She had not just left me, she had used me. I hired a private investigator with borrowed money. Within 2 weeks, he confirmed it. Claire had been involved with Michael for nearly a year. She had copied my passwords. She had forwarded confidential documents. She had signed transfers using my digital certificate. She was not a victim of my downfall. She was one of its architects. The betrayal was so complete that I felt detached from my own body when I confronted her for the last time. She did not scream. She did not apologize. She said, "You were already losing. I just chose not to lose with you." I turned the evidence over to my lawyer and to the authorities. Michael was arrested first, then Claire. The charges were severe: wire fraud, conspiracy, identity theft. My case was dismissed 6 months later. By then, my career was over. No firm would hire a man whose name had been in the news, even as a victim. My savings were gone. My reputation was damaged beyond repair. I moved to a smaller city and took a job as a night clerk in a hotel. For a long time, I believed I had lost everything that mattered, but something unexpected happened in the quiet of that life. Without money, without status, without the illusion of control, I was forced to meet myself honestly. I saw how ambition had blinded me, how fear had made me reckless, how I had mistaken financial success for security, and romance for loyalty. 2 years later, I received a letter from Claire's attorney. She had accepted a plea deal, 5 years in federal prison. She asked, through her lawyer, if I would forgive her. I did not write back, not out of hatred, out of acceptance, because some betrayals are not meant to be healed by words. Today, I live simply. I teach accounting at a community college. I rent a small apartment. I have friends who know my story and stayed anyway, and I have learned the lesson that cost me everything. Love that depends on your success is not love. Trust that is not protected by integrity is an invitation to ruin, and money, when pursued without principle, will always take more than it gives. I lost my fortune, I lost my career, I lost the woman I thought I would marry, but I did not lose my life, and in the end, that was the only asset worth saving.